Why did the British choose not to assassinate Hitler? Throughout World War II, Adolf Hitler was the mastermind behind the atrocities of the Nazi regime, leading to questions about why the Allies, particularly the British, did not attempt to assassinate him. The decision not to target Hitler for assassination was not a matter of oversight or inability, but rather a calculated strategic choice influenced by several factors, including military strategy, logistical challenges, ethical considerations, and political objectives. Hitler as a strategic liability. One of the most significant reasons the British refrained from assassinating Hitler was their perception of him as a strategic liability to Germany. By 1942, Hitler had made several critical errors in his leadership of the German war effort. His insistence on directing military campaigns often resulted in disastrous decisions, such as the ill-fated invasion of the Soviet Union and the declaration of war against the United States. Many British military and intelligence leaders believed that Hitler's continued leadership would ultimately hasten Germany's defeat. Removing him from power might have allowed a more competent military leader to take charge, potentially prolonging the war and increasing its cost in terms of lives and resources. For example, figures like Erwin Rommel or Heinz Guderian, had they assumed control, might have executed more effective military strategies. Logistical and operational challenges. Assassinating a high-profile figure like Hitler posed significant logistical challenges. The Nazi leader was heavily guarded, and his movements were unpredictable. The British Special Operations Executive, SOE, tasked with conducting sabotage and subversion, would have faced immense difficulties in infiltrating the Nazi regime's inner circle. Hitler's schedule was tightly controlled, and he often worked from secure locations such as the Wolf's Lair or the Reich Chancellery. These sites were fortified and surrounded by layers of security. Any operation to assassinate him would have required extensive intelligence, which was hard to obtain due to the Gestapo's effective counter-espionage measures. Ethical and political considerations. The British government also grappled with the ethical implications of targeted assassination. While wartime exigencies often blur moral boundaries, the deliberate targeting of a head of state was a controversial proposition. Winston Churchill and his advisors understood that assassinating Hitler could set a dangerous precedent, potentially inviting reciprocal actions against Allied leaders. Moreover, the political ramifications of such an act were unpredictable. Killing Hitler might have turned him into a martyr for the Nazi cause, galvanizing German resistance rather than demoralizing it. The British feared that an assassination could lead to unintended consequences, such as internal chaos in Germany or the emergence of an even more ruthless leader. Focus on broader objectives rather than focusing on assassinating Hitler, the British prioritized strategies aimed at weakening Germany's capacity to wage war. This included bombing campaigns targeting industrial centers, disrupting supply chains, and supporting resistance movements across occupied Europe. The British believed that a comprehensive strategy to undermine the Nazi war machine would be more effective in achieving victory than a high-risk assassination plot. Additionally, the Allies recognized that the Nazi regime's downfall required the total defeat of Germany, not just the removal of Hitler. The war's end would necessitate dismantling the entire Nazi hierarchy, a goal that could not be achieved through the elimination of one individual. Failed attempts and internal resistance. It is worth noting that several attempts to assassinate Hitler were made, but Germans, not the British, primarily orchestrated these. The most famous was the July 20, 1944, plot led by Claus von Stauffenberg and other high-ranking Wehrmacht officers. The British were aware of some internal resistance efforts, but chose not to support them actively, fearing that such involvement could compromise their intelligence operations or risk exposure. Post-war justice. Another consideration was the desire to hold Hitler accountable for his crimes in a post-war tribunal. The British, along with their Allied counterparts, envisioned a system of justice that would expose the full extent of Nazi atrocities. Allowing Hitler to stand trial would not only serve justice, but also provide a definitive historical record of the regime's crimes, ensuring that the world understood the moral and legal consequences of such actions. The British decision not to assassinate Hitler was a calculated choice shaped by a combination of strategic, logistical, ethical, and political factors. While it may seem counterintuitive, allowing Hitler to remain in power arguably accelerated Germany's defeat, as his poor leadership decisions undermined the Nazi war effort. By focusing on broader objectives and supporting the eventual collapse of the Nazi regime, the British aimed to achieve a comprehensive and enduring victory, rather than risking the uncertainties of targeted assassination. This decision underscores the complexity of wartime strategy and highlights the difficult choices faced by leaders in times of conflict. While history cannot be rewritten, examining these decisions provides valuable insights into the interplay of morality, strategy, and politics during one of humanity's darkest chapters.